day and a half of news. So, we have drafted a press release which has already gone out to some of the news bureaus, and I'd like to read a few statements from that to begin with. The Dakota Access Pipeline was denied the necessary permit to drill beneath the Missouri River by the Army Corps of Engineers. The decision to deny the permit came from the Obama administration. This represents an enormous victory for the communities here at Standing Rock, as well as 18 million people living downstream of this proposed pipeline. According to the Army Corps of Engineers website, Darcy said that the consideration of alternative routes would be best accomplished through an environmental impact statement, or an EIS, with full public input and analysis. Unfortunately, last night the lights were still on. The helicopters yesterday were still buzzing overhead. Until we can personally go up to the drill pad and seen that they have ceased drilling and have left, this is not over. Although we are deeply pleased with this small victory, we know that this is one battle in a larger movement against injustice from the oil-based energy sector that has a tendency to prioritize profit over ecological safety and social responsibility. President-elect Trump's Justice Department is unlikely to prioritize any lawsuits or penalties leveled against DAPL should they drill against the Army Corps' orders. We have already witnessed that they have ignored on multiple occasions requests from federal agencies to stop and allow us all time to negotiate and talk about these things to a peaceful and mutual agreement. Congressman Kevin Kramer of North Dakota said, "Today's unfortunate decision sends a very chilling signal to others who want to build infrastructure in this country." We could not agree more, Congressman. It is said that infrastructure developers cannot seem to operate with respect to First Nations by consulting them properly, and the environment that belongs to everyone by conducting full environmental impact statements. The water protectors felt chilled on many nights by the elements, and especially by the fire hoses used on us on November 20th. We're happy that the congressman felt something of what we have had to face to protect our sovereign land. Energy Transfer Partners stated last night that they are fully committed to ensuring that this vital project is brought to completion, and fully expect to complete construction of the pipeline without any additional rerouting in and around Lake Oahe. Nothing this administration has done today changes that in any way, unquote. Energy Transfer and Energy Transfer Partners has a responsibility to their investors. However, as water protectors, we have a responsibility to being stewards of the water. Therefore, we declare here today, we are not going anywhere. We are here to support Indigenous rights and the environment. It is our opinion that this pipeline should not be rerouted anywhere along the Missouri River, period. No other community should assume the risks of having these kinds of infrastructure projects beneath their soils and their riverbeds. Kelsey Warren may have confidence in his pipeline's integrity, but we do not. We see DAPL as a part of a greater direction of energy sector growth that is malignant to the planet, a clear continuation of dangers to indigenous people's rights all over this country. The next step for the Oceti Sakowin camp is to hold strong. While the labor pains continue, a new future is born, making way for life to continue, to ensure clean drinking water for coming generations, and to protect the land for them and for all our relatives. To do this, we move to protect those rights that were federally established in 1851 in the Treaty of Fort Laramie. In that Pale Agreement made so long ago, the Great Sioux Nation was granted a portion of the lands the ancestors never walked off of, to live and to hunt upon. That agreement has never been fully legally negated. The Department of Justice issued a statement 2 days ago that they intend to enforce the law and to ensure public safety. Yet their only representative that they sent has been a community relations person who took 3 weeks to identify themselves as a representative of the Department of Justice. No person presented themselves as they do online on the Department of Justice website. They refer to themselves as peacemakers and talk about mutual understanding without creating any way for understanding to actually be built among the people here at Oceti Sakowin camp. Perhaps that is why their services are free of charge. We say to the Department of Justice, in order to resolve this conflict, you must honor, first, the sovereign rights of the Great Sioux Nation. You can begin that process by honoring the Treaty of 1851 and remove yourselves from our land. The company Sonoco Logistics has acquired Energy Transfer Partners. They claim integrity as their first corporate value. Do what is right without compromise. Do what you say. Be honest. Embrace the highest level of ethics in all situations. We humbly ask this of these new corporations. We have come to understand from some people that apparently corporations are people too. Therefore, we ask that they also respect all of us as human beings who walk here on Mother Earth. We ask that corporations, as people too, walk in a good way with us, that we all respect each other in a good way. So to conclude, Oceti Sakowin camp remains here. We have redoubled our determination to protect our land, to protect the water, which we were given the obligation to do so in the Treaty of 1851. We were specifically asked to protect this river out here. This is why Standing Rock people the Lakota people, the Umpapa people, all of the 7 tribes of the Sioux have gathered here again in a historic way. The first time in 140 years, we have all gathered as former enemies, as people that we didn't always get along. We have all come on this land as brothers and sisters to protect. We are not protesters. We are not terrorists. We are not rioters. We are, in fact, water protectors. Oh. Thank you. I'll open this for a couple of questions.
Will the tribe be recommending to the Department of Justice and the Army Corps to seek a federal court injunction and then criminal contempt sanctions against the officers of Energy Transfer Partners?
It is the hope of the Oceti Sakowin camp that the Tribal Council will pursue every possible legal measure they can to stop this pipeline. As members here in the camp, we have very little control over what the Tribal Council does. We work in concert with them, and they obviously have more resources than we do sitting down here in our tent with no cell phone signals. But yes, we would hope that the Tribal Council and their legal departments are working very hard today, as I'm sure Energy Partners attorneys are also working hard today. I believe the question was, should President Obama demand the release of all water protectors who have been arrested? I think, if I remember my basic law school, there might be some jurisdictional issues with that. The president, the current president, might make a statement encouraging local officials to do so. We believe that we have not broken any laws. We have conducted ourselves in a prayerful and a peaceful way. We believe, and we have evidence, because most of us have had cameras up on the actions and on what we call the front lines, unfortunately, that much of the violence was actually not instigated solely by us. If the president chose to make that statement, I suppose that would be helpful. I would prefer to hear a statement from Morton County, Cass County, and their associated prosecutors and state officials that perhaps there has been an extreme use of force in these areas, and that all of those things should be negated. And maybe we can wipe the slate clean and walk across that bridge and shake hands with the law enforcement people whom we pray for every day.
What's the status of the veterans support and the veteran movement that's here right now?
The status of the veterans and the veterans movement who are here right now, we are grateful and honored to have welcomed thousands of veterans from all over the country. The status of their movement, I would guess, would be a question that you would have to ask the veterans movement. Oceti Sakowin camp does not necessarily represent all of the people who planned to bring the veterans in from all over. We are honored that they came to stand with us. I guess that would be a question for them.
What about the danger posed by the elements starting today and moving forward through the winter? Do you believe that the Tribal Council is doing enough to warn? There's waves and waves and waves of people coming every single day from all corners of the nation that they really know what they're getting into. What is the concern for moving forward, and do you think enough is being done to protect everyone that's coming in that honestly
Winter is not coming, it is here. As Lakota people, we have lived on this land for thousands and thousands of years. We have survived perfectly fine here. The 7 tribes from this area have endured the elements as well as the atrocities of the U.S. Army and the United States government for hundreds of years. We are not concerned about our people surviving on this land. We have a long history here. We have 1 or 2 tricks in our pockets. As far as our allies and our friends who are coming from outside to come here and to support us, we believe that we have taken many measures to ensure everybody remains safe and warm while they're here in camp. On our website, we have very clear instructions. Do not just bring winter gear, bring Arctic gear. Do not bring summer tents, bring Arctic tents. We are trying to do everything to ensure that everyone that comes to stand beside us to support us in protecting the waters will all be safe and warm. All of us are prepared to open up our lodges. If people get cold, to come in, bring in your bedroll, stay warm, listen to some stories. We're not very concerned about that. We appreciate the governor's concern about the weather. We heard the other day that Morton County put up a list that they needed hand warmers and warm clothes because the law enforcement officers were getting cold out there. So we gathered some of our own resources and supplies, and we had a caravan drive up to Mandan, and we dropped off those supplies for them so that they too could stay safe and warm.
Thank you. Our ancestors have been very harsh to you. Is there any forgiveness to be found?
Because of the way we have assembled here, and because we have called upon the Oceti Sakowin camp name, everything we do is in a prayerful way. I believe that people in camp are praying for forgiveness on all sides every single day. Forgiveness must happen. This is a time not just for protection of our land and our water for our children, but this is also a time that we can start healing scars that have been on this earth for 500 years.
Is there any update on the FFA no-fly zone for drones? Or can you speak to that in any way?
I have not seen any updates from the FAA since I think 2 days ago when the last no-fly zone had expired. We get rumors and some information trickling in. Sometimes that information is a little difficult to run down. We believe that any no-fly zones over the Oceti Sakowin camp or any of our 1851 treaty lands is a bit presumptuous. I think we've been able to control our airspace just fine for a very long time. Our core belief is that based on previous actions by law enforcement officers, they are going to try to restrict our ability to continue to record actions in the future. So they're trying to ground us. The snow does a good job of grounding us. Beyond that, I believe that several of our drone pilots, who I must commend here today, have put their personal liberty, property, and their own safety at risk to get out and get footage about what's going on the lands around us. Because we've been restricted from the bridge, because we have a militarized police force now that has surrounded us with barricades and concertina wire and armed men on the hills in quads. We've seen men with sniper rifles. Starting on October 27th, we have photographs of men pointing loaded weapons at peaceful water protectors. I think they just want to keep us grounded and limit our ability to get the message out, not just about what we're doing, but what we're up against.
So Chairman Archambault said in an interview with Reuters earlier today that non-suit protesters could go home because no action was likely to take place until January after Trump takes office. What does that mean for the camp as it stands right now?
Perhaps it means that we can start bringing in more food and firewood. Not sure what the question is.
Well, is that the tribe's position? Do they, from what you've heard, is that kind of the general consensus that non-suit protesters can and maybe should leave for the winter?
I'm sorry, what protesters?
Non-Standing Rock Sioux.
Non-Standing Rock Sioux should leave for the winter. I guess I will reiterate what I said earlier. When we established this camp as a way to protect the water and the land, we have made accommodations throughout the summer and the fall and now here in the winter to bring people here and keep them safe and warm, keep warm soups coming out of the kitchen, keep coffee on all day. So people, as far as us here at the Oceti Sakowin camp, we welcome people who come prepared. These are harsh conditions, there's no doubting that. But again, we've learned to live here for many, many years. And we've also met, perhaps, I should back up a moment. The word Dakota means friend. It's always meant friend. And it may be that where we live reflects that. If people were found outside and in the cold, we opened our lodges. We brought them in, we fed them, we kept them warm. And that's what we're going to continue to do. That's been our tradition.
How many people are believed to be in the camp now?
I can't say for sure because I can't see through the snow. It's been, I've heard estimates of 7,000 to 8,000, upwards of 10,000 people have been up in the camp and through the camp since Thanksgiving. Obviously some folks are leaving because they may not have been properly prepared, or some folks need to get back to their families and back to their work life in the real world. I don't have any accurate numbers. We've never been able to conduct a census in that traditional colonial way of walking from tent to tent and saying, how many people are in there? So it's just a guess. Any other questions?
So it was said that DAPL had until January 1st to continue with construction, and if not, then a lot of investors would back out. I've heard that the state has had an extension until January 20th, and I was wondering if anyone could confirm that.
We have difficulty understanding, much less defining, the intricacies of the mainstream corporate world and the financing and how all of that works. I hope, and we have asked before, that banks and investors who are trying to make a profit based on a short-term short-sightedness, please put your money elsewhere. It's not just the Dakota Access Pipeline. It is across the board with petroleum-based industries. We are trying to change the entire paradigm of our energy sources. We're experimenting with that, and we're exhibiting that here in camp. You're sitting under a heater. that's powered by the sun. This is no petroleum products being used here. So I don't know what sort of benchmarks or milestones are set up for energy partners. Not really sure I care. Other than, please, investors, bankers, we request that you move your money elsewhere. It's a better investment. Invest in solar, invest in wind, invest in water power.
One of the lessons the allies here have been learning at camp is that much of our work is to bring the lessons we learn here home. Can you speak to what those lessons may be and what some of the concerned allies can do when they get back to the real world?
Concerning this or concerning things in general?
Things in general, I suppose, or how it connects to this. It's a large question.
There was much discussion about these things last night. When we first heard the news that the Army Corps had denied the easement or delayed it for an environmental impact statement, there was much discussion about what we've learned here, what mistakes we've made here, and how we can then take the Oceti Sakowin message and model, if you will, out to assist our other indigenous brothers and sisters all over the world. I believe the consensus in many tents last night was this is just, again, a battle in a larger war. Many of us here are enduring incredible conditions to fight for sovereign rights and treaty rights and water rights. If we, or when we, are successful here, our next obligation is then to take that out to other peoples all over the world. I hear there's pipelines in South America, all of these different countries. I've also heard that some countries have banned them and will not allow pipelines to be built. We hope that our government achieves that sort of a perspective sometime soon. If anyone has seen the maps of the oil spills from pipelines, or the photographs of oil spills, or the fires, or people getting hurt, I think the assertion that pipelines are safer or the safest way to transport oil may be a little disingenuous. Getting hot.
With the permit being denied, can we be expecting the bridge to be demilitarized? And also, can we expect any form of observation if they're not drilling without the permit?
Can we expect the bridge to be demilitarized? We have observed, and some members of our media team went out there this morning. We did also have people out there last night who witnessed that the law enforcement forces had pulled back their equipment from the bridge. The barricades, the barbed wire, all of those things remain. As to whether Morton County, Cass County, and all of the associated law enforcement agencies are to demilitarize up there, I believe is a very good question for their next press conference. We have no control. If anyone's been up there, I don't think we've put up any barriers on our side. We have not put up any Constantina wire on our side. Our side has been open. Our side has been free to walk back and forth. We do have security up there to protect some people from getting too close, because the threats from the other side were rather vociferous. The second question?
The second question was, they do not have the permit. They've stated that they're going to drill without the permit. Is there any way for people to observe that they are actually doing that?
There is no way that we can currently verify whether they're drilling or not. They have, at the drill site, They have essentially erected a fortress which will not allow anyone to get close to the drill site. After that, because they knew we had drones in the air, they covered the drill site. We do know that the drill equipment is there. We have heard that Energy Partners has ignored all requests to start digging. We suspect they may already be digging, and their excuse was they can dig down to 200 feet, that easement does not start until 200 feet under the ground, which we find kind of confusing. But no, we have no way to verify whether they're drilling or stopped drilling, or they're trying to move equipment back, because we can't see what's happening at the drill site. We would request some of the veterans that were here, I mentioned yesterday, had asked that they could walk up to the drill site and see what's happening there. Corporations who do these things adjacent to public lands, on treaty lands, in public waterways, we believe they have an obligation to be transparent, to show us everything that they're doing, to show us all of the studies that assure our safety. We're not sure they're that concerned about our safety. We believe DAPL, the Dakota Access Pipeline, may have been instrumental in guiding some of the law enforcement actions. We do know that we have been subject here to all kinds of different surveillance. Morton County, Cass County do not have those kinds of resources. A $4 billion project does. So, no, we don't have any way to confirm what the state of the drilling is. A couple more questions.
Can you share your understanding or any insight regarding the continued use of a public taxpayer-funded police force in behalf of a corporation that now no longer has public permission to move forward?
We have stated many times all along that we object to publicly funded law enforcement agencies enforcing the will of corporations upon a public or upon a sovereign people.
Fargo is discussing at the Fargo is discussing discontinuing the public use of funds tonight. So if you have a chance to go to Fargo and
we would encourage all law enforcement organizations and agencies that are not from this area to please keep your officers at home with their families. The statement was made that apparently in some of these communities there is no more crime. There are no more laws being broken because they can send their officers here to support us. So we have questioned those processes from the very beginning that they started to abuse that. One more question?
You said you're not going anywhere. What conditions would have to be met for you to, I guess, go?
We are waiting for a statement or actual evidence from Energy Transfer that they have ceased this pipeline entirely, abandon it, walk away. It's not worth it for any of us. That, I believe, at this point is the only thing that will convince these people enduring these conditions to finally go home to their families. Many people came here, they quit their jobs, they took their last belongings and put them in their cars, and they came here to work and help us out. I don't think anything short of the company publicly stating that this pipeline is done would be the only sign that people will start packing up their camps.
Would you need to see it for yourself? Would you need to see it?
We would need to see it ourselves.
Yes. Yeah.
One more question, Will.
So, as we move forward in the fight to help fortify the camp, what are some of the reasons for the communities outside that are unable to contribute their physical bodies to actually putting themselves here and standing in alliance? What are some of the resources that you would like other communities to send into the camp that would be helpful for moving the process forward? Not just in the protection stage, but as to establish the camp in the long run.
What can people do from far away to support us?
Right. What are the greatest needs?
What are the greatest needs? We do have a list on our website. That's Oceti Sakowin.org. I'll spell that for you. OCETISAKOWINCAMP.org. We do have a donations page on our website that lists many of the needs that the camp has. We are also enhancing that with a critical needs list as well as specialized needs lists. Things like the medics have special needs. Things like the kitchens have unique needs because they provide services for the entire camp. Beyond that, and again, I must say up front, I am honored and humbled by the support that people from all over this country and other countries included have given us here. Piles of boxes show up at our P.O. box every day. We have to have a crew of young people who process all of those things and bring those things down to camp. And many of them are very heartfelt. People are making things by hand, and they're putting them in boxes with handwritten notes. And we really appreciate and are grateful for all of those things. We have other needs such as wood, propane. If you can't send wood or propane, which is apparently you can't do in the mail, we have our PayPal account on our website where people can donate, and we apportion those things for resources here in the camp. More importantly, I think, is that people need to address the political system and the system of regulatory agencies as much as possible. Not just EPA, Department of Justice, all of the agencies that were given the responsibility to protect the people. They have abandoned us here. We have not seen any EPA people here. We've only seen one DOJ person here. We thought they were the ones who were supposed to control the police. And now we've witnessed a police force that I believe did not understand how to deal with peaceful and prayerful protesters. They came armed. They came with full tactical gear. They were confused. We understand that. This is also kind of new for us. This movement hasn't been ever seen. It's different than all the other movements because it's based in a prayerful and peaceful way. I think since the times of Gandhi, have we not seen something like this? And we're hoping that people will continue to support us in that way, contact their political people, get the message out there that what's happening here is unjust. What's happening here disregards and disrespects a sovereign people's rights, people who have lived here for thousands of years, for millennia. So if we can get that message out, that I think are all the ways that people can help us without actually being here and feeling the delicious cold that we get to see every day.
We have a question from online. Sharon Whalen asks, does Standing Rock sanction protesting at the hearing to expedite Dakota Access cross-claim in D.C. on Friday morning?
Can you repeat that?
Does Standing Rock sanction protesting at the hearing
to expedite the Dakota Access cross-claim in DC on Friday morning.
It is difficult for us here to see what's going on sometimes in the outside world. To ask us to sanction certain actions, we would have to be assured that these actions are also done in the way we do things here, which is in a prayerful and peaceful way. We would support anyone who chooses to protest or to support us from afar in different offices and places around the country, as long as they're doing so in the way of the Oceti Sakowin camp, and that is in a peaceful and prayerful way. We do not want anybody to get hurt here. We don't want anyone to get hurt on the law enforcement side here, and we definitely do not want anyone out there protesting in our name to be hurt or injured at all. We have already experienced some very difficult injuries. Some people have been hurt here who will never recover. We don't understand why these things happen. So, yes, if they can conduct themselves in that way, we would support that.
Yes, could I ask you to repeat your name and spell it for us and your title, please?
I invite you to come up after the press conference, and I'll certainly provide all that information. One more question, anybody over here?
I'm wondering, in the event that we actually have proof that they're completely withdrawing and stopping drilling and they removed everything, and are we still, is it still the objective to maintain a presence here to reclaim this unceded territory for the Lakota Host Project?
I heard some discussions about these things last night. We dared to allow ourselves to think what might happen after the pipeline was stopped. I think I heard many great ideas about what might happen then. I think the only sure thing that will happen after the black snake has been killed, after the pipeline has been stopped, is we are going to have one of the largest wopalas ever seen on this land, one of the largest celebrations ever. Beyond that, I think I spoke to a couple things that we talked about. I hate to extend this. I know many of you have been standing here for a while, but we do have an elder coming in.
They all know who he is.
Don't know where he is?
Everybody's caught in the weather. So I know that Leonard Kodog and Orville Looking Horse are on their way. They're just caught in the weather. It's getting pretty wild out there.
And Crow Dog cannot get in. He would like to come in, but he's unable.